We got any more people coming? Should we pick more people up? Okay, so if you guys want to come around here, again, if you cannot hear me, you go like that. I know to speak up, so can you hear me up there? Yes? Okay, good. Alright, so I don't know if I said, but the street behind us is called Drottninggatan, translates from Swedish to English as Queen Street, named after a super important lady in the mid-1600s. I've said it once, I'll say it again. In my opinion, she laid the foundation down for something that's super important, rightfully so, and that is gender equality. For a start, here in Sweden, you're more likely to see a female CEO, a father pushing a pram during the week, and you're even more likely to see shared bills on first dates. I think this is quite awesome. 20 years ago, back on my first date in Perth in Australia, I saw myself as a pioneer for this shared bills on first dates. It didn't work out that well, but I gave it a bit of a crack. Again, in my opinion, the gender equality stemmed from Queen Christina. As a woman in Sweden in the 1600s, she did two things that were unheard of for women of the time. Number one, she was defiant and resilient against men around her. Number two, she was afforded the luxuries of education. They say she was fluent in 9 different languages, well versed in science, mathematics, philosophy. She was also allowed to read the taboo Catholic religion. Here in Sweden, in the 1600s, if you were Swedish, you were only allowed to read about the Lutheran Protestant faith. She was afforded these luxuries. Her parents were different. Her father was King Gustav Adolphus II, commonly known in Swedish history as, quote, the Lion of the North, and again, in my opinion, by far Sweden's greatest ever warrior king. Her mother, 100% crazy, yet the two of these people, they were madly in love. Now, this was an arranged royal marriage in Europe in the early 1600s. The fact that the bride and groom loved each other was very rare. All Queen Christina's mother wanted to provide the king was a healthy young prince, an heir to the Swedish throne, and someone to carry on the family name. So they tried 3 times. Unfortunately, there were 3 stillborns. Queen Christina was the 4th and final attempt. Now, on the night of her birth, the report said she was born with an unusually large amount of hair on her back. They said it was more like a fleece. She must have been pretty hairy. They also said her cries were unusually deep in nature, and the king automatically assumed a healthy young prince was born. But the year was 1626, and society didn't have great communication tools like Twitter, Snapchat, Instagram, and hashtags. How else are we meant to communicate with each other? We had to do it the old school way. That involved getting a wave of messengers like this and telling them something along the lines of, run far, run wide, tell everybody a prince had been born. Apparently that's what happened. First wave of messengers were dispatched. The king went back inside, looked downstairs, realised they made a little bit of a mistake. There was something missing that qualified Christina to become a prince. Why didn't they check that before? I don't know. I was not there. But he tried to make up for his mistake. He did this by getting a second wave of messengers to try and catch up to the first wave. Now, I've read hundreds of books and articles on Scandinavian history. You might think it was a waste of time. I think it's pretty cool. In not one of these books or articles was that direct message that was given to the second wave of messengers recorded. But I like to put it into 21st century times. Therefore, I think we can all relate to it. I assume the message was something along the lines of, what could it be? Lol, soz, we totes got it wrong. Here's a she, hashtag my bad, hashtag king, wink, I don't know, something like that. It was less than 280 characters, I'm sure the message got through. But the truth of the matter was, not all the second wave of messengers caught up to where the first wave of messengers were. And there was a big grey cloud hanging over Queen Christina's head, not just for the time she was alive, but 300 years after she passed away. Was Queen Christina A or was Queen Christina B? We're going to split this up into 2 parts. We're going to walk halfway down this street. As we walk down there, see if you can guess what that A, what that B was. Big question mark, big part of uncertainty about Queen Christina, not just for the time she was alive, but 300 years after she passed away. So, the second half of the story, come down over this way. What are you doing?